Greetings, everyone, and welcome. November the 7th, 2025. And I want to begin by saying thank you for all of the kind messages sent to me regarding yesterday, you becoming aware that I went to my grandmother's funeral. Traveled through the night back home in the base here in Pennsylvania, and we are rolling on a huge day. Sergey Lavrov is being looked for, and we need to pay attention to this because it's now the Russian media calling, where is Lavrov? It's not outside Russia looking for Lavrov, it's inside. In addition to that, it is looking like the meeting that is happening supposedly right now between Orbán and Trump is turning out to be a much bigger deal as Ukraine, Russia, and the rest of Europe focused intently on what the results will be. I have all of the precursor video for you. We're ready to roll. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, and subscribing. So the question is, where is Lavrov and what is going to happen in the meeting? What will be the results? Zelenskyy and Orbán both speaking about it. I have it for you. I know many people are thinking right now, just ignore the Lavrov story. He's been gone for 4 or 5 days. I agree completely with that. Yet, when Russian media begins to ask questions, that is the moment you raise an eyebrow and, maybe there is something to this. I personally doubt it, but the fact that the question is being raised brings attention to the matter. Here is the video clip. This is Peskov's radio address, and he takes questions from journalists, and here it is. Does Sergey Lavrov currently have the president's full support as foreign minister, and will he continue to perform his duties? Okay, I understand y'all ask you. There's no truth in these reports that correspond to reality. So you can confirm Lavrov will continue his duties? Absolutely. Lavrov continues to work as foreign minister, of course. So listen, take that with a grain of salt, but that at least being asked brings validity to the questions we were posing yesterday. Where is Lavrov? Additionally, you get the same type of Kremlin answer. Absolutely, everything is okay with Lavrov. You know, that reminds us of Putin's statements. Absolutely, I will never attack Ukraine. And we see where we're at right now. Now, for the rest of this update, we need to focus on the Trump-Orbán meeting, and afterwards we will be looking for the results. This is a key meeting that President Zelenskyy and his Defense Security Council are looking at closely. Trump-Orbán meeting. Europe, Ukraine, Russia watching closely. They want to see the results. Orbán wanting to bypass sanctions on Russian oil for Hungary to continue to be able to import Russian oil. Trump, we know, has a very positive outlook on Viktor Orbán, calling him a kindred spirit or a brilliant man, one of the greatest leaders in the world. So we have to not speculate, but now wait for the results. And regardless of, at the conclusion of the meeting, regardless of what unfolds, there will be some indicators that point us where we're headed over the next few months. Easy to see that this is what will happen. This is Orbán, and this is the attitude he is taking into the meeting with Donald Trump. Ukraine collects data and information all the time. They collect the names of people. They want to use them to influence the future. For example, in the case of an election, Ukraine wants a pro-Ukrainian party to win the elections. And today we have a Hungarian party government, and this is not a friendly government with Ukraine. The relationship between Ukraine and our government is tense, and in many ways we have very contradictory interests, and Ukraine wants a change of government. They're looking for people and businessmen and parties and journalists who can help Ukraine because they expect a government that would bring Hungary closer, to bring it into the war, to give Ukraine more help than the current Hungarian government does. So there you can hear it. That's Orbán's statement. Now, this is the attitude and the information he will be taking into the meeting with President Donald Trump. This is what he will state. Ukraine is destabilizing. They're trying to overthrow my government. They're trying to put in a pro-Ukrainian government. All the things you just heard him personally say, that is what will be, among other things, stated to Donald Trump today. And remember, Trump has a very pro-Orbán view. We still have to wait for results. Now, President Zelenskyy and the Defense Council is not being on their heels about this. In fact, today, Zelenskyy making a few public statements about this meeting and how important it is. And he's talking about Orbán and the meeting with the United States. Let me take you to clip number 1, where Zelensky's sitting with the Defense Council talking about this meeting. So, regarding the meeting between President Trump and Prime Minister Orbán, I can only imagine what Ukraine-related issues and information will be discussed, but we do not know the real agenda of this bilateral meeting between these two countries. We know primarily Orbán wants to bring Trump to Hungary for a meeting with Putin. You guys know our position on this. I won't repeat myself again. If there's a meeting, wherever it happens, that actually leads to a ceasefire and the end of the war, Ukraine will support that format. I've always said this. If meetings are just for Orbán's electoral show and commercials with no results or substance, we cannot support that. Obviously, fruitless meetings about us without us are inconclusive, and this is precisely our view, my opinion, but we're open to a format if there can be real results. I think perfectly stated there by President Zelenskyy. We have no idea what they're going to be talking about, but we can guess a couple of the questions and a couple of the topics. We already know from Orbán what he stated. We know about the oil and energy issue. So now we have to wait and see. And if they want to talk about a meeting in the future, well, we're not going to have a meeting just to have a meeting, but we want tangible results, a ceasefire, an end to the war. I think perfectly stated. But it doesn't stop there. Zelenskyy continuing to talk about Orbán, and now he cranks it up to another level. Okay, let's look at a couple of questions that Orbán possibly can come with to the meeting. Let's find a way, he would say, to protect our oil independence from Russia. I'm sure he'll raise that issue as much as possible, probably maximal. But then he needs to understand our position on this. We cannot allow Russians to profit from energy. It's great that the United States is interested in this, but as a country under Russian aggression, we're definitely invested in this, not just interested. And Orbán, who constantly discusses issues with key players around the world to influence us, the United States. And he thinks not about people or solving this problem, but he only thinks about himself. He thinks that he'll do it by hating on Ukraine, but he will not succeed. Why? Because we will not allow it. All right, well, pause right there. Listen, do you think that this information or these statements will possibly be played in the meeting between Orbán and Trump? I don't know, but this is direct. Like, Orbán's just a player, and we're not going to stand for it. Russia cannot profit from energy, period. We're not just interested in this, but as Ukraine, we're invested in it, and we will not allow it. It's powerful statements. We will not allow the Russians to sell their oil there. And he clearly understands this. No one can influence us. Absolutely no one. That's why he's blocking. He thinks he'll block us in Europe and that no one can stop Ukraine's development toward the EU. The Russians can't stop us. Does he think delaying for 6 months will stop Ukraine? No. But each day brings more incomprehensible emotions. Instead of being a good neighbor and building our relationships, building our economies, we're distracted by these issues. We're doing everything right. We do nothing against the Hungarian people. We are grateful to them. We do nothing against the Hungarian leader, but we simply cannot remain silent. We cannot be diplomatic when such words are said about us or when Russia's rhetoric is supported. All right. Very powerful and direct statements. We can't be silent. We cannot be inactive. We are fighting for our very existence and freedom. This is no longer about trying to hold on to a couple of regions. This is about Ukraine as a nation and as a future. This is why I think Zelenskyy today taking a very bold statement. Look how he concludes this statement. We stand up for our dignity. Amen. By the way, this is very important to us. Dignity and freedom are crucial to our country's independence. Nailed it. And he will not block it. Nailed it. So this is the setup, the precursor for the meeting that is happening this afternoon between Orbán and Trump. And yes, we will have the update for you, whatever pertinent information we can get. In addition, Zelenskyy talking today, a lot of information coming out about Pokrovsk. We'll get to that as well later. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, subscribing, all of your support. Today is a much more important day for Ukraine than I thought it would be yesterday. A lot of this information coming out. Be blessed, and we'll be back soon.